These things about the details, the story behind the rug, how it was made, the knowledge that went into making these rugs, those are the kind of things that really draw me into collecting even more rugs, more than I obviously have floor space for in my 4-room HDB apartment. Initially, my passion for collecting started because I wanted these rugs for my home. The designs I found were much more dynamic, very suited to a mid-century eclectic kind of setting, which my home is. I'm really drawn to vintage tribal rugs because of this whole romantic idea of how it's been made so many years ago by women whose weaving knowledge was passed down to them orally from their moms and their moms' moms through generations and generations. Why I'm looking also at vintage rugs rather than the new rugs is because they have this beautiful patina to it from age and from use. I want my place to have a very lived-in feel, and so vintage rugs, they lend that kind of vibe very easily because they were used before. And of course, why buy new when there's so many old, vintage, beautiful rugs that could be had? So it all started in 2018 when I went to Pakistan for my first business trip. And I told my colleagues that I want to get a rug in between our meetings. And so they arranged for us to be brought to a carpet warehouse, which was owned by a friend of a friend. So we went there and I spent 3 hours in that warehouse that has no aircon, fluorescent lighting, and in the end, came away with this beautiful, I think 40 to 50-year-old Afghan Herati rug that is now in my study. I get sucked in, I get drawn into this whole hunt of looking for that perfect rug or rugs for my space. And I honestly did not feel that 3 hours go by. I mean, for me, I was really quite blown away. So I would say that the first rug that I got would be one of the things I would try to save if my house was on fire. It's quite a big piece, so that might take a bit of time rolling it up. But yes, I think it will stay with me for a very long time. After that, I actually acquired a few more pieces online through various sellers on Etsy, for example. During the pandemic, when I couldn't travel, I bought another rug online as well. And then subsequently, when I could travel again, that's when I took that opportunity to get more, including a trip to Japan, of all places. When I started sharing them on my social media, and that's when I saw that people were actually very interested in these rugs, which fueled my passion for collecting even more. And sometimes I end up selling a few of them as well on my social media. So this is one of my oldest rug. This is an antique Caucasian Kilim. This piece is over 100 years old. At one glance, you can tell that it's a really old rug because of the color variations, the patching up that has been done in various places of the rug. The center field has these 4 motifs that you see here. This is called the Memling gull motif. It's named after this Flemish artist called Hans Memling. The last gull at the bottom is kind of incomplete versus the 3 gulls on top. So you can see this part here. There's only 1 hook, whereas the others have 2 hooks. Whether that's deliberate or not, who knows? But it's just, again, these imperfections are really what makes an old tribal rug like this shine through with its character. So this is also one of my oldest pieces. This is called a Jijim rug from Turkey. Actually, Jijim rugs are one of the oldest and most traditional Turkish rug weaving style. Think of it like a traditional folk art. So there's the Jijim weave, there is the sumak weave, which is kind of like an embroidery on a flat weave, and then you have the plain flat weave. And then you can see in the center, there's this square shape with the 8-pointed star in the middle. Apparently, my rug guy was telling me how this design in the middle is called Aynali. And I was asking him about this blue bead. And he said that this is like the nazar in Turkey that you see, the blue glass beads like an eye. This is meant to act in the same way, like to ward off the evil eye. This is a prayer kilim from Yayali in Turkey, which is about 80 plus years old. You can see from the mihrab motif in the center that it's a prayer kilim. The kilim weave that you see here is like what they call a slit weave style, meaning to say that you can actually see the slits in between the different color blocks. And usually if there is a rug that has a human figure in the center, usually denotes the weaver's hope for a child. This is like a hair ornament motif, usually symbolizes this hope for marriage as well. So my guess is that this was made as a prayer rug but also a dowry rug. So one of the rugs that are in my house at the moment, there's this one that I also got from my trip to Turkey. It is this old Persian Heriz rug. It's one of those subtype of Heriz. It's called a Karaja Heriz. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. The Heriz design is usually known for their geometricized floral motifs in the center field, but this one has 3 geometric medallions in the center. I like it at that spot, the spot that is next to my dining table. So that's where it's been ever since. So the rug that's in my walk-in wardrobe, it's also a special one. It's a rug that was made in Konya in central Turkey, but it is a reproduction of an antique Caucasian design. The center shield medallion was something at that time I had not seen before. And then later on, as I was flipping through one of the rug books that I have, I chanced upon this design, the same motif, that shield medallion in the center. I realized, oh my God, it's the same rug. Or I mean, it's the design of this rug. And that's why I learned more about the name of that design, which is called the Caucasian Siwan Kazak. So there's this other rug that's in my bedroom. It's a small square rug, which I chanced upon when I was in Tokyo, of all places. I was in Shibukitazawa. It's an area that's known for vintage shops. And then I saw at the corner of my eye, there was this stack of old rugs. And I thought to myself, I cannot leave this shop without looking at the rugs, of course. So looked through the pile, saw this piece that I really liked. Later on, after I had made this stool in this local woodworking workshop, I looked at it and I thought, you know, actually that square rug could look quite nice under that stool. So I tried that out. And yeah, it's been there ever since. So this piece is one of my latest acquisitions. It is a Yastik rug. So Yastik in Turkish means pillow or cushion. One of the ways is that they were just laid on like this, like on this back. So it would soften this wooden backrest. You can sit on it like this. The first time I saw it, I liked the way there was this slightly blurry effect to the boundaries. It's not so well defined. The colors have been softened by age. This is one of my new favorites. So I get a lot of my inspiration from, obviously, the internet, through travel, through magazines, books, other people's homes. I mean, there's tons of information out there. Really, I am not an expert. I do not profess to be an expert. I'm really just like a passionate budding collector. I can start my search with just one rug type. I let myself go down the rabbit hole of all sorts. And of course, talking to the rug collectors and the people that sold me those rugs, I'm just learning more and more how to tell a good rug from a not so good one, what's a unique color combination. I also get this sense of pride whenever I look at the rugs that I have in my place. The thought of these rugs being made by these women whose hopes and aspirations were also pinned on these rugs, which you can see through the designs themselves. I feel very proud owning a piece, or a few pieces, of art like that. I really love how these rugs add so much character and warmth and persona to my home that I don't see myself getting tired of that anytime soon.